The big three are arguably the most popular three anime of all time. And many times when you'll see people discussing the big three, it always leads to some sort of argument. Well, today we are going to be comparing the big three. However, we're not going to get into like the toxic comparisons. We're just going to be comparing many different parts of their story, many different parts of what make each show so good. This is all for fun, obviously, because all of the big three are really great, and whichever one you have above the other, they're all pretty good. The only bad opinion I would say is thinking any of them are bad. They're all fantastic, both statistically and if you watch them, they are all amazing. But with that being said, we're going to get started. Remember, this is just my opinion, so obviously there is going to be some bias. We're going to get started with introduction here. And for first place for the introduction, I feel like this one is pretty cut and clean. I think this one is definitely Naruto. Naruto definitely has the best intro. I mean, it takes not even one episode to get into the meat and the bones of the story, like right away. I feel like you get into Naruto pretty immediately. And then if you count the whole introductory arc, I mean, you have one of the best villains in anime in the very first arc, which is Zabuza. I mean, the intro to Naruto couldn't be any better. Second place, I have Bleach, because the Bleach intro is solid. It's not like super amazing like Naruto's, but it's not terrible like third place, which is One Piece. The One Piece intro is so incredibly slow and boring, and things really do not pick up until they find Nami. Or I should say, until Zoro joins, and you get it. It's a long intro. We're going to move on to protagonists here, and before we do, I hope you guys hit the subscribe button, please. It helps me out a lot. I upload anime videos 3 times a week. But for protagonists, pretty easily, we have first place, we have Ichigo Kurosaki. I think Ichigo is the most relatable character out of all of them. He makes the most logical sense out of all of them. And yeah, so that's why I have Ichigo at number 1. Also, we are going to be tallying up the points at the end to compare which one is the best. Number 2, I do have Naruto. Although Naruto does like to use the Talk no Jutsu, I do think he is still relatable at times, and he's a pretty inspiring character. And at number 3, I have Luffy pretty easily. I don't think Luffy's necessarily a bad character, but Luffy's not relatable in the slightest. And really, One Piece fans will get mad when you say this, but he really doesn't get much character development. And yes, he does get some, but in 200 episodes, he doesn't get enough character development. Like, Ichigo has more character development than him in one arc than he does in the entire show. Deuteragon is pretty simple. Zoro is going to be number 1. This was pretty close between him and Sasuke. I do have Sasuke at number 2. But I like Zoro a lot more. I even have a Zoro tattoo because I do like him a lot more. Sasuke is really cool, and obviously the golden standard of what a Deuteragonist should be. I mean, look at how many copy Sasuke, and yes, I know Sasuke is a copy of Hiei, but a lot of them copied Sasuke after. And then third place, I have Rukia. I mean, Rukia is cool, don't get me wrong, but she just does not compare to the other two. Then for sidecast, this one was pretty difficult because all three, I don't know. Naruto I put at number 1. I think the sidecast for Naruto is fantastic. I do see people complain that a lot of them don't become useful in the second in Shippuden or whatever, but in my opinion, I don't like that argument because for the amount of people that, become out of the story, like for example, the Konoha Crush team or whatever, and yes, they were supposed to die, but that's besides the point. But if you have like someone like Kiba, like maybe people like Kiba, and he does nothing in Shippuden, for every character like that in the original Naruto, they add 2 more side characters that are equally as important, if not more important. So I don't really like that argument. Now, if you want to say that all the side characters they introduce aren't as good as the other ones, sure, but you're comparing them to Kiba and Neji, so I feel like you're just bullshitting. So, yeah, but then second, we're going to have One Piece. I think the One Piece sidecast is pretty solid. It definitely has its ups and downs because they have so many characters in the sidecast, but it is great. And lastly, I have Bleach. I'm not gonna lie, if your name's not Ichigo or Kenpachi, you are most likely a bum in some way. I mean, they hype up so many people. Like, you look at Uryu, dude. Uryu, it acts like a smart guy, and he is probably the biggest dumbass in the entire show. You have Toshiro, who is a literal captain and in every single arc of Bleach, and he has done absolutely nothing in the entire show. They call him 007 for a reason. 0 fights, 1, 0 importance to the story. And that's just a lot of the side cast in Bleach. Some of them are good. Like, I do like Ikkaku as well. But even him, like, he doesn't do a whole lot. Renji gets bitched all the time. Chad gets bitched all the time. Everybody likes Shinji, but Shinji gets bitched all the time. I mean, the sidecast really in Bleach is not great. They are just a bunch of bums. Next up, though, we have the female cast. Now, this one pretty easily goes to Bleach. I think Bleach has some very well-written female characters. Like Rukia, like I said earlier, is great. Unfortunately, she just doesn't compare to Zoro or Sasuke, but she is still a great character. I do like Rangiku, although she is kind of useless, but it actually fits her, unlike everybody else. So I would go female cast Bleach, number 1. Number 2, I would give it to One Piece. Nami and Robin are great, and then you have side characters that appear as well, like VB and stuff. And lastly, it has to be Naruto. I mean, if you look at the females in Naruto, there's maybe 3 that are really good. I mean, you have Konan and Tsunade, and then if you want to throw a third one in, like maybe Tamari, then sure. But overall, the female cast Naruto is not great. The villain cast, however, though, I feel like this one's not really arguable, even though I do see arguments on it. I do have Naruto at number 1. I think the Akatsuki are easily the best. Went number 2, but I think the Akatsuki are just a million times better, if I'm going to be honest. And then One Piece is easily last. There's not really many great villains in One Piece anyway. A lot of the villains are kind of mid. But for best villain now as a category, Madara easily is number 1. In my opinion, Madara is the best villain in all of anime. And I actually didn't even pick Aizen for Bleach. Aizen is a great villain, and I'm not saying he's not, but I do like this guy a lot more. I put Grimmjow at number 2. I like Grimmjow way more than Aizen, which I get is a hot take, but even if you went with Aizen, Madara is still better. And lastly, we went Dofi for One Piece. Dofi is One Piece's best villain, and let's be honest, he's just kind of pure evil. He does not really in-depth character like Grimmjow, Aizen, or Madara is. Then for best character, again, Madara is going to win this as well. I love Madara, my second favorite character in all of anime. He is awesome. I don't think there's a single flaw to his character. Number 2, another tattoo I have here. We have Eustace Kid. Love Kid. He's a super great character as well. And then lastly, for Bleach, we have Grimmjow. Grimmjow is my favorite character in Bleach. Now for the plot, I am going to give this to Bleach. I think it's arguable for Naruto, but I would say Bleach, I think, on paper, definitely has the better plot. I think a lot of the stuff that happens in Bleach is very interesting, and I think that's why it lands at number 1, because it's super, super unique as well, and doesn't really repeat itself like Naruto and One Piece tend to do at times. But number 2, I obviously went with Naruto. I think the story of Naruto is way better than the one in One Piece, because a lot of the stuff in One Piece is kind of like, and don't get me wrong, I love One Piece. It's a top 5 anime for me, and it kind of seems like I'm hating on it, but I'm not, trust me. It's a top 5 anime for me, but let's be honest, a lot of the arcs kind of followed the same pattern. Luffy gets to the new place, fights the big bad, loses, does a bunch of bullshit for about 25 episodes, then comes back to fight the big bad and then whoops his ass. So yeah, it kind of follows a repeating pattern a lot of the times, which is why it ranks so low. Then for emotion, this one was the easiest one. Naruto, easily number 1. I mean, the Rock Lee moment is great. The Obito moments are great. The Kakashi, like there are tons of characters you can look at in Naruto and be like, wow, they had a really good emotional moment. And second easily goes to One Piece. One Piece has a lot of good emotion too, but the reason I wouldn't have One Piece above is it's a lot more spread out. Again, it's the similar thing we talked about with the protagonist. For 1,200 episodes, there could be a lot more emotional value stuff in it. And I know a lot of people be like, oh, well, that's the pacing's fault, it's so long. I know, but still, I feel like it needs to be said. And easily last is Bleach. Bleach has like almost no emotion at all. I don't think there's a single sad moment in the entirety of Bleach. I'm gonna be honest. And there's some hype moments, so that definitely counts towards the emotion, and some funny moments as well. That definitely counts as well. But that's pretty much it. Bleach is not very good at targeting emotion, so that's why it goes last. Depth. I mean, depth is very similar in a lot of aspects. It's going to be the same order: Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. And the depth, I mean, I feel like Naruto, the depth is represented very well within the Akatsuki, and not only that, but just within all the characters. Jiraiya has so much depth. Naruto, Sasuke, like they have so many hidden motives and morals behind each character. One Piece is going to be number 2. I mean, One Piece is obviously a very in-depth show as well. People like to tie it to politics. That's how in-depth it is. And Bleach is going to be last because Bleach struggles to hit on the emotional front. And if you struggle to hit on the emotional front, it's kind of hard to be in-depth. Then for designs, oh, this one, the top 2, they could definitely be flipped if you would flip them around. I totally get that. But number 1, I have Naruto. I personally love the Naruto designs. I think they are fantastic. And number 2, obviously then, is going to be Bleach. Again, if you wanted to flip them, totally fine. I totally get that. The Bleach designs are also fantastic. I think both of them are absolutely amazing artists and are 2 of the best designers in all of anime and manga. And then I have One Piece in last. I don't think the One Piece designs are bad, but they do not compare to the Naruto and Bleach ones. Those 2 are genuinely phenomenal. Then for backstories here, we have Naruto at number 1. I mean, they go so in-depth on the backstories, and so do the other 2 shows. But they go so in-depth, and they make them so interesting that you forget you're watching a backstory. When you watch the Kakashi backstory, like, it just doesn't even feel like a backstory. Like, it feels like this is where you're at in the show, and you are genuinely so invested. And the other 2 can do that at times, but they're not as consistent with it. All the Naruto backstories genuinely feel, like, super amazing. Number 2, I did put One Piece though, just because One Piece has so many backstories that I feel like eventually the quantity adds up to be enough quality. And then lastly, I do have Bleach. I think a lot of the backstories in Bleach feel like backstories and feel very slow at times. Like the Kisuke backstory with him and Aizen, that felt incredibly slow. And I felt like not really, like it was important, don't get me wrong, but it could have been sped up a lot. I think the backstories kind of ponder a little bit in Bleach, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. Then for peaks, I mean, this one's just completely biased, obviously, but I have Naruto at number 1. I mean, so many great moments. I have One Piece at number 2, again, so many great moments, and Bleach at number 3. Bleach has great moments too, but I do think a lot of the Bleach peaks get overrated. Like, people love Ichigo versus Ulquiorra. Not a bad fight, but it genuinely does not compare to Naruto or One Piece. I'm sorry. The fight was 2 episodes long, man. And it was just Ichigo getting his ass whooped, then Ulquiorra getting his ass whooped. There was not even a moment in that fight where it was close. So, yeah, that moment specifically is the reason I put Bleach in last, because people love that moment and call it a peak moment of Bleach. And I completely disagree. I think it's good, but it's not anything crazy, I'm not gonna lie, because the fight is so one-sided. Like, both for Ichigo and for Ulquiorra, like, it's not really great. And I see people, you know, talk about, oh, Ulquiorra gained a heart or whatever. No, the fuck he didn't. Like, he literally did not. He was kind of the same person the entire time. I don't think he really changed at all. So, I don't know. That moment specifically, the fact how overrated it is, kind of put Bleach in last for me. But for plot twist, easily Naruto's number 1. I mean, Naruto arguably has the greatest plot twist in the anime with Itachi. I mean, people have tried to copy that moment in so many modern anime, and it just can't be replicated. I mean, that was probably, like I said, arguably the greatest plot twist in all of anime. Next up, I have One Piece. Again, the story is just so long, and there are so many plot twists built into it. Oda loves doing the foreshadowing and then plot twisting it after, so there's just so much. And Bleach, I honestly think, gets a unfair advantage here because it is a lot shorter than the other two and just has less plot twist, and I honestly think that's the only reason that it can't really compete. If it was as long as One Piece, it probably would be higher, and it is just unfortunate because they all have really good plot twists, but Bleach just has less good ones because it doesn't have as many. So unfortunately, it does have to go last by default almost, so that one kind of sucks for it. But best arc, this one was extremely easy for me too. The Chunin exams for Naruto is phenomenal. Definitely a top 5 anime arc of all time. Genuinely amazing. I actually went with One Piece at number 2, though. I gave it to Dressrosa. Super fun tournament arc. Definitely the best arc of One Piece. And there are rumors that it was help written by the Naruto creator, so it does make sense. And then lastly, I put the Soul Society for Bleach because 1,000 Years is weird. I didn't want... If you wouldn't say 1,000 Year, then 1,000 Year could definitely go above Dressrosa. Not the Chunin exams, but it could definitely go above Dressrosa. But the thing with 1,000 Year is, like, yes, it's an arc, but it also is split up into cores. So I don't know if the cores should count. So if you want to go with that above, sure. But I gave it to Soul Society in the original Bleach as an official arc, which I guess 1,000 Years is an official arc. I don't know. Whatever. This one, maybe I dropped the ball, but whatever. I'm going to give it Soul Society at 3. Then we'll go with pacing. This should be no debate as well. Naruto, Bleach, One Piece pretty easily. One Piece arguably is the worst pacing in all of anime. Naruto's pacing isn't great, but it's definitely better than Bleach's because Bleach has so many slow moments. So, yeah. And then humor. This one, you know, you could argue any which way, but I gave it to Bleach. I think the humor in Bleach is absolutely hilarious. I gave One Piece number 2 because that pre-time skip humor in One Piece is hilarious. But post, it's not as funny, which is why I get second. And then I put Naruto in last. I mean, Naruto definitely has some funny moments, but to me, not really the funniest show out there. And then world building, I mean, this is pretty easy. One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, I think most people agree with that one. Animation, this is going to follow a similar track, but I feel like I have to explain this one. I have Naruto at number 1, and a lot of people will be like, oh, how's it above One Piece or Bleach? One Piece and Bleach, before they got into modern animation, were not animated good at all. Naruto was the pinnacle of animation for a very long time and still holds up to this day because of how beautiful the choreography is. And One Piece and Bleach have never had that. Now One Piece and Bleach have the high quality and the fast animations and the flashing lights and stuff like that, which, yes, I know a lot of people like and is very good. But Naruto was the golden standard for so long and still holds up today, even with how old it is. The old One Piece animation does not hold up today. The old Bleach animation does not hold up today, which is why I have Naruto ahead, because it is consistently animated well, whereas One Piece and Bleach are only the later half is animated well. You get what I'm saying? And the reason I put Bleach behind One Piece, because One Piece has Vincent work on a lot of stuff, I'm going to be honest. If Vincent didn't work for One Piece, I could have Bleach above it. But also, I feel like Bleach has, like, it's so tinted in 1,000 Year. Like, a lot of the scenes are just, like, tinted with either blue or red or purple, and it's like, I hate when shows do that, not going to lie. Like, it looks good at times, but then it's also really annoying to me. But anyway, we'll move on to enjoyment. Now, this is literally just my personal opinion on the show. I'm gonna go Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. Naruto is my favorite anime ever. One Piece is in my top 5. Bleach, I don't even think makes my top 10. I do like the show, but yeah, it doesn't compare for me. Power system, I think this is really easy as well. I have Naruto at number 1. It is the most in-depth power system out of the 3. It is the most explained. It makes the most sense. It is the most desirable. It provides for a lot of really cool stuff as well. One Piece I have at number 2 because the Devil Fruit system is super unique and one of the coolest systems in all of anime. Unfortunately, it did need a balancing system, which is Haki, and Haki is kind of lame. However, we got Bleach. Bleach has so many power systems that they do not really explain thoroughly. Like, yes, you can look it up to get explanations, but they don't explain it very thoroughly at all. And even, like, a lot of the different powers, like, don't really make sense. Like, for example, like, the Bankai and stuff, they're like, oh, nobody ever gets Bankai, and Ichigo got it in 3 days. And it's like, oh, yeah, but Ichigo's different, this, and that. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's not really explained well how the power systems work in the world because, like, why is Bankai so hard to get? They don't really explain it. They just say it's hard. And I don't know. There's a lot of different things in Bleach's power system that goes unexplained. And plus, they have, like, 30 million different things in the power system. So that kind of explains why it's so hard. Like, if you look at the Soul Reaper powers alone, there's like 8 different things in that. And then you have the Quincy powers. And then you have the Arrancar powers, the Hollows, and all this and that. Like, you have so many different powers in Bleach that they often clash and are not explained very well, which is why it's last. Fights, again, very easy. Naruto number 1 because the choreography is great. And the fights, more often than not, mean more than the other shows. One Piece, you'll have a lot of bullshit fights. Bleach, you have a shit ton of bullshit fights. Naruto doesn't really have that much. I think the fights mean more and they look better. I did put One Piece at number 2 though for fights because the fights are a lot more entertaining in One Piece than they are in Bleach. And the reason why in Bleach is because the good fights in Bleach are very good. Ichigo versus Grimmjow is one of my favorite fights in all of anime. However, that fight is so short. All the good fights, the Kenpachi fights, max 3 episodes. Ichigo fights, max 2 episodes. Oh, the Uryu fights that nobody cares about, 20 fucking episodes. Like, what? Like, that's why I have fights last in Bleach, because the good fights are so short. The bad fights are so long, it is so bad. Like, I cannot stand it. The bad fights are way too long, bro. But that's besides the point. We'll move on to music. Now, this one, top 2 can be flipped again, because it's just personal preference, but I am going to argue why I have it like this. I have Naruto at number 1, Bleach at number 2. And I could get if you haven't flipped. However, I think it's pretty fair to say Naruto has the better intros and outros than Bleach. But I also think it's fair to say Bleach has the better OSTs than Naruto. So now it just depends, like, do you listen to this music outside of it? Because if you do, Naruto has more listenable music outside of the show. But if you're just watching the show, then Bleach would probably be better because Bleach has better OSTs. Now, I'm not saying Naruto has bad OSTs and Bleach has bad intros and outros, because that's not true. They both are fire in all of their music departments. But Naruto has the better intros and outros, and Bleach has the better OST. And I'm a guy who likes to listen to a lot of the music outside of the show, so I think Naruto ranks ahead of me. But if you don't really like listening to the anime music outside the show, then Bleach is probably better. And One Piece is easily last. It has some decent OST, but most of the intros are dog shit. And then we have ending. Obviously, the only show that's ending is Naruto, so it's getting a free 3 points here. And I know people be like, oh, that's unfair, you can't really do that. But the ending is the most important part of every single story, so it should be included. And since one of them did end it, I did include it. If Naruto wasn't finished either, then I wouldn't have included it, obviously. But it is a part of the show, and it is the most important part. Now, the ending of Naruto is shit. It is literally the only bad part of Naruto is the ending. And so if Bleach and One Piece end, I would almost guarantee it's going to be better. However, One Piece looks like it's going to end similar to Naruto, so I'm not really excited for that, gonna be honest. The One Piece ending might be shit. But the Bleach ending, I do believe, will be better than Naruto and One Piece, so it'll probably end up being better. But as of now, Naruto is the only one that's finished, and it does suck, but it's going to get 3 free points. And we're going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to start with last. Now, second and last were actually pretty close. First was pretty obvious, I think, but in last place, we have Bleach with 38 points. I like Bleach, and I think on paper it ranks very well, but I think the pacing has a lot of issues for it, which is similar to One Piece, and One Piece is obviously number 2 with 42. I think both of those, if they were paced better, I think would both be a million times better, if we're being honest. I think both of those really struggle from pacing, and this kind of shows how important pacing is, because I think Naruto benefited a lot of these, which, by the way, Naruto won with 6-7 points. Anyway, a lot of these benefited from Naruto's pacing. For example, like if we go to backstories, like obviously a backstory is going to be affected by pacing. And like I said, the Bleach backstories were very slow. The One Piece backstories, like some of them are good, some of them are slow, some of them don't have a lot of information. And both of those are directly affected because of the pacing. Because Naruto had decent pacing, I'm not saying it's amazing, but because it had decent pacing, like the backstories felt great. And that happens with a lot of these. Like emotion as well. It's hard to feel emotionally attached in Bleach when you just get annoyed with how slow things are going. Fights, like I mentioned earlier, like the Naruto fights are super well paced, where One Piece and Bleach, they're super dragged out. Like, I think pacing, honestly, is probably the biggest factor in a lot of these here. And, you know, One Piece is getting a remake. I hope Bleach gets a remake with better repacing, because I genuinely think that would fix 99% of the problems in the show. Seriously, I think that would actually fix the show so much. The original, by the way, like Thousand Year is amazing, but the original has so many issues that I think would literally be fixed just because of pacing. So hopefully we get a Bleach remake eventually. I know the One Piece remake is coming out. Naruto doesn't really need one. I think it's good, but that's my overall scores. Let me know what your guys' favorite in the big three is. What's your least favorite? Obviously, again, this is just opinion. They're all peak shows, so if you like one over the other, it totally makes sense. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe. Peace.